ray tracing, RTX. Regardless of what it's being called now, it is here, and real-time ray tracing is the future of how games will look on both PCs and on consoles. And while it's on the former and not the latter yet, we're going to talk about why that is, what ray tracing is, and the potential impact it can have on your wallet. But if this is your first time to the channel and you're into building and fixing up gaming PCs on a budget, consider clicking the subscribe button and notification bell to catch all new uploads the moment they drop. Doing this helps me grow here on YouTube and as a content creator, and for that I appreciate you all to the moon and back. So what exactly is ray tracing? Well, by definition, ray tracing is a light rendering technology that simulates how a light or light source behaves in a 3D world or environment. Still confused? I know, so was I at first, so let's try this. By definition, ray tracing allows for light to react to surfaces the same way it would in real life. This then produces more realistic shadows or reflections in or around the surfaces of 3D objects. Still no? Let's try this. The lighting technique is the closest approximation we have to model the way light behaves in real time. Well, in any game or any 3D world. It's not a new technology per se. It has been used in Pixar movies like Monsters University and Cars, but the release of NVIDIA's RTX lineup of graphics cards made it possible to render real-time ray tracing in video games. Ray tracing will come to the popular cube-smashing virtual world of Minecraft sometime next year, which will feature global illumination and real-time shadows. And now, speaking of games, I'm going to show you how RTX looks turned on and the performance hit you can expect that comes along with it. Let's jump into it. Alright, now starting with Quake 2 RTX. We're over here in the settings. You can see now we're running, resolution is going to be 1920 by 1080p at 100 frames per second, or 100 hertz. And I try to run this game at 3440 by 1440p ultra wide, but it's just too demanding on the GPU, which is an MSI RTX 2080 Gaming X Trio. I'm going to go ahead and show the FPS counter, resolution scale, leave that as is, multi-GPU support, leave that disabled, textures, yes, global illumination. Now here's our options. We can go turn them off, high, medium, or low, but I'm going to go ahead and run it at high, leave guide rays turned on. Alright, and here we are at 1920 by 1080p, and we have ray tracing turned on. And first, here's a good example to show how the light coming from the sun right there is reflecting down into this environment. And as you can see, it's creating a spotlight here, and not say over here, but still dark. To show you the effects of path tracing, you can see here every time I shoot, it creates a little tail of light. Even that explosion right there, or we throw our flare there, you can see here it's generating real-time shadows. It's the light source is the flare, and now RTX is now simulating how that light would behave in real life. See, it just went out. See how it's dark in this area? And if you go here, if I try to get above the water, you'll see now the reflections. See it right there. Perfect example. The water is actually reflecting the fan as it would in real life. Now if I go into settings, or video, or go into settings, let's turn RTX off. If I can find it, right here, global illumination. We turn RTX off, you'll see here that fan now is no longer reflecting, the water is no longer reflecting the fan as it would RTX turned on. In fact, everything kind of just looks bland and dull. RTX back on is, it's making my head hurt. Alright, so back to high settings, back to now shinier graphics and surfaces. So moving along here, see here to the corridor, dark. Let's drop this flare right here. See now, the light is reflecting off the water. The light from the flare is now reflecting off the water, and it's creating this natural look and feel to this game world or environment. And now when the light goes out, now we only see the reflection from the water from whatever light source is coming down here, which is the light from outside. As you can see there, let me off this guy. Reflections, we can see the sky. I just saw him jump from somewhere. But again, this is all with the power and magic of RTX. And RTX turned on. Looks simply amazing. Now, it is in my honest opinion so far that ray tracing has been implemented really well in Metro Exodus. It's the first time ever that real-time ray tracing was implemented into a game at launch. Now here we are here in Metro Exodus. I mean, this game looks absolutely stunning. I mean, that's even with RTX turned off. I mean, this game is just a beautiful looking game. As you can see here, that light source right there, little green, what's that appears to be, or some type of fungi or fungus, is lighting up just that area. And as you can see, the light from outside is lighting up this area here of the tunnel and not this light here. Again, that's global illumination at its finest. And so now here's the thing. Here's how global illumination works. It's a system that models how light is bounced off of surfaces onto other surfaces rather than being limited to just the light that hits a surface directly from a light source. Again, remember our sample? This makes everything look realistic and connected in the virtual world since the light is behaving and reacting to one another. Ray tracing. And now global illumination is costly. And jumping back over to Quake 2 RTX, we go jump into our settings. We have global illumination turned to high. And we're getting around 93, 92 average FPS. If we go back, jump into our settings and turn that down, or let's say turn RTX off, you can see here we jump up nearly double our frame rate. Now we're back up to 165. Everything looks normal. And then back to what I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. There's cost. To game at 1920 by 1080p Ultra RTX, you're going to want at least an RTX 2080, an $800 graphics card. But if you want to turn on all the bells and whistles, run 1920 by 1080p Ultra with RTX features turned on, and with a little bit of potential to game at 1440p with RTX features on, you're going to want to pick up an RTX 2080 Ti, a $1,300 graphics card. But the Techverse has heard it through the grapevine that AMD will be launching their own versions or their own dedicated hardware for ray tracing, and it's coming to consoles along with a boatload of new games. And there you have it. That's ray tracing. To give you the TLDR or the TLDW version, it's that, well, RTX on makes games look shinier and more prettier with really fancy lighting effects. So like I mentioned earlier in this video, RTX or DXR, it's here, it's in our present, and it's definitely going to be a thing in the future. So to learn more about budget PCs and other gaming related stuff, consider clicking the subscribe button right there on the screen. Again, this helps me grow here on YouTube and as a content creator. Other than that, that'll be all for this one. Thanks for giving it a watch. I hope to see you all in the next one, so until then, be easy.